If you guys have never seen The Vault, I believe this was a YouTube original. This is just an internet TV show. They posted it on YouTube.
Now, I can only go over this once, so please listen carefully.
All the fish in the bowls?
Oh yeah,
Looks like there might be something written on it, but I can't tell from here.
Red or blue? I still can't decide.
I don't think you were ever going to beat this game.
and it's basically a spoof on the idea of what is now a Jubilee cut game show, almost Squid Game style. Like when I talked about Jubilee's money game, it puts you into that world as if it's real, but after a few episodes you start to realize this feels like it might be scripted, and after about episode 12, 13, you're definitely like, this is just a show. It's just a show. It's basically it's a show that takes place in the context of a YouTube game show, if you will. And it came out like 10 years ago, which when I first watched it, I thought it was like somewhat new, like a year or two old, because the quality's great, the idea is very fresh and really cool, and I thought it was like recent. And then I looked at the date on the channel and the uploads, and it was all 9-10 years ago, and I'm just, what the fuck? But it is a great show, and it's a YouTube original, and I'm not sure who made it. I'm not sure. I found it on YouTube, and I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was very interesting, and it's a great show. So it starts in episode 0, which is only 2 minutes and 51 seconds long.
Now, I can only go over this once, so please listen carefully. Now, as you know, you're now inside of a place we've named The Vault. What The Vault is will become, hopefully, clear to you over time. Now, within The Vault, there are several rooms. Each of these rooms has a unique purpose. For example, the other rooms serve various purposes within The Vault, but I can't tell you any more than that. Those players will just have to figure things out.
If you have not watched this yet, click off this video. Go to The Vault, watch every episode, finish the first season of The Vault, and then if you want to, come back and watch this, my analysis of it. Because you need to just watch this show as is before you hear anyone talk about it. This show is unbelievable, and that's the intro concept. That's how they drop you in. It's as if you're watching a regular game show. A producer calls in, explains that he's in the vault, and they can't explain much more than that other than it's now a team game. You'll have to be working with other people, and each room in the vault serves a specific purpose. And yeah, if you haven't seen this yet, go watch it. It's really good. I highly recommend it. I saw the whole thing front to back, and that's why I'm talking about it, because I really liked it. So episode 1, the first actual episode of the show, is an even 11 minutes long, and it basically drops you right into it as if you are playing this game show with the contestants, and at no point does it indicate that this is scripted and not real. Yeah, so the show begins with you dropped in this sort of like controller room with one of the players. He is, or at least the actor who's playing him, is trying to be as confused as you, the viewer, are. He sees buttons, he sees a headset, he's not quite sure what is going on. But as you could probably guess here, he has access to call the other rooms, and he's the one who keeps communication. And then we have the clock room.
Hello?
So yeah, basically episode 1, it opens up with the guy in the communication room, and he's not sure what to do, just like all the other players. They're just dropped in this room that has some purpose, and none of them are quite sure what that purpose is yet.
Hello?
Hi,
Hi.
who is this?
Henry?
Are you with the TV people, or...?
Oh, no, I'm a player. Contestant, I mean.
They have to figure it out. So the guy in the communication room, he starts calling around, figuring out what everyone's room is, and he calls one lady who has too many fish, not enough food.
All the fish in the bowls?
Oh yeah. And then there's another guy with a room full of clocks, and he looks at the clocks looking for a pattern. And then he keeps going from room to room to room, looking for purpose between the rooms and whatever else, because he thinks there's some kind of puzzle to be solved. Yeah, so basically he has this wall of clocks in front of him, and he's thinking there must be some kind of pattern, some puzzle, something that I have to solve with these clocks, and he's not quite sure what. So he keeps looking at these clocks, and he thinks, that's it, yeah. The puzzle is, I think, yeah, one of the clocks is the accurate time for where he is, and he has to figure out which one doing some kind of puzzle or how, and then when he does that, he is able to do something with it. It's the players in this are meant to be as lost as you, and it slowly builds on itself, adding more info.
Actually. I think I'm gonna go check with some of the others.
Hey, how many of us are there in here?
Looks like 9. Well, 10 including me.
We have this guy on the bike, and I'll just talk about it. He notices that it started at 1,000. It's an electric bike, and it went down to 999 as he was riding it. So he figures, they talk about it, maybe riding brings it down, and I have to bike this 1,000 miles over the next week, and that's the task. And they're not quite sure what it is, but it's an electric bike in a room that's hooked up with a bunch of wiring through the walls on a timer, and they're not quite sure what it does at this point in the show. And then he notices there's a lot more buttons on the wall than he first thought there was. About 150 of them. Like a lot more. But yeah, after that, I was hooked. When I saw the huge wall and everything, I was just like, bleh. But, I mean, yeah, that's basically the concept as it introduces you. Is each room has an individualized purpose, and each purpose is meant to serve the greater purpose of we all get out of the vault, because it's a team game called the Vault, and they surmise that much. So he keeps calling around basically throughout the next couple episodes, trying to figure out what each room is, and he goes over the course of, I want to say the next like 3 episodes, he just goes through, and he gets one woman who has a whiteboard and a marker, and he gets them to mark up on the whiteboard like a Excel spreadsheet of what is in each room, and we have like this per room has a piano in, this room has the trash chute, so they know when they throw trash away where it all goes to. Then this guy has a room full of fortune cookies for whatever reason, and this other woman has a room, and then there's one woman who's in an actual vault room, and that room is like basically there's a bunch of components, but the main like 4 or there's a fortune cookie room, and then there's a vault room.
So what's that been like?
And then there's the room with the guy who has communications with everyone. And then the 4th component is each of room's individual purpose. Because each room has like a riddle to it, right? And when you solve the riddle to the room, like say the woman in the fish room that we saw, she has too many fish and not enough food. So basically the riddle is something about compassion. It's like, yeah, compassion misguided is dangerous or something like that.
Few things are as deadly as compassion misguided.
Basically, if you were compassionate and you fed every fish because you didn't want any of them to starve, you would run out of food before the week ended and all of the fish would die. Misguided compassion. And yeah, basically, and then on the fortune, you find in the pile of fortune cookies in the other guy, the fortune cookies room, you would find a fortune about misguided compassion, and there would be a set of numbers on the bottom of the fortune. So then the guy in the communication room would read those numbers to the woman in the vault room, who would type the number in. And then once you had every room's code put in, all like 156 or something, then the vault would open and you'd all win, theoretically. And it's like a commentary on game shows also that I just find really interesting. It talks a lot about like the morality of the show. It talks a lot about capitalism. It's like a based show with a lot of interesting takes and interesting ways of approaching what they're trying to tell you. And for 10 years ago, I thought this is ahead of its time. It's a very good show. But I think I can skip a few episodes because it's basically just them going from room to room. There's this king character who's very interesting.
You can't. If you feed them all, they all die.
Yeah, the episode opens, he has this huge wall of buttons that he doesn't really know how to deal with, but then he goes through them all, and he finds Eric here. Henry's the guy in the communication room, by the way.
This is Eric.
And Eric here is in a room that you notice at the end of the episode, there's a big replay spike, because this is what Eric's room looks like. It's a lot. I'll just say that. But, yeah, then we have the fortune cookie room, who assumes that he's there because the show is racist, because he's the Asian character, so they put him in the fortune cookie room.
Fortune cookies.
Yeah, big pile of them. I'm not going to eat them.
But yeah, there's a big pile of fortune cookies there. And then you have this king character who I guess thinks he's in charge, and he's a really funny character.
To save the rest.
I do like
it's the
him.
only solution. But let's move on, shall we?
He is one of my favorite characters, and is it just me, or does he kind of look like Andrew Callahan from Channel 5? I really do like the king character with the LSU shirt. I think he's hilarious. And then you have this woman with a mirror, and her fortune is something about vanity. But yeah, and then they keep going from room to room to room until they find one with a whiteboard and marker, and they basically mark down what's in each room so they can keep track of it and basically figure it out. And the goal of the show, if you will, in quotations, inside of the show, a point of the vault is that they read the fortune cookie off, they find the number on it, they associate the fortune with a room, and then the woman in the vault, Alexis, that goes by Alex, she types in, or says with a voice command, like, the 4-digit number on the bottom of the fortune, and then the room number associated. And if you're wrong 3 times, there's 156 rooms, and if you're wrong 3 guesses, you lose the show. And basically, yeah, that's like the setup for it. Is this goes on as is for about 5-6 episodes, and yeah, it just honestly keeps going for about 12 as like a normal, almost pretending to be a normal game show. But then like the last 5-6 episodes they go off the rails in a very interesting way.
Well, it'll all be over.
Hello?
Boom. To where it becomes obvious that it's a scripted show, but you're very satisfied because it goes somewhere very interesting, if you know what I mean. Oh, and I forgot to mention the guy in the bike room. Power becomes a big concern because the guy in the bike room, the number is going down because you have a capacity of 1,000 whatever units of electricity, and as the show goes on, the people in the vault with their lights and communications and calling people and whatever use up a certain amount of power, and the guy in the bike room has to keep the show going so that they don't lose by staying on the bike and generating power. Around episode 5 or 6, yeah, there's an earthquake.
What the hell was that?
Michelle?
Guys, I don't think that was part of the game.
And they're not quite sure if it was part of the show, if it was anything, but there's an earthquake. And they think it was a light earthquake, it's not a big deal. The lights came back on. They must still be filming, right? They would have called us if something went wrong. They never got a call, anything. And then a few hours later, one of the contestants talks to the guy, Henry, in the communication room and says, "Everyone else needs to hang up. I need to just talk to you, Henry." And he basically just says, "I'm with the show. I'm not a contestant. I'm a plant. They have not called me since the earthquake. Something bad happened."
That quake wasn't supposed to happen. I think something really bad happened out there. I had a direct line of communication with the producers at all times until the quake. I work for the show.
The show's not filming. And Henry isn't sure if he should believe him. He's not sure if he's fucking with him. But he listens and he's like, "I'll keep that in mind. Fuck." But I'm going to still try to win the show just in case. Because either way, if the vault opens, we can just leave and see for ourselves what's out there. What actually happened was not an earthquake. It was a very big deal.
Well, it'll all be over.
Hello?
When they finally get out of the vault, they're like the only people left on Earth because they were in the vault when it happened. And that's why they lost communication with the outside world. And so this guy keeping power on for the game show right here is unknowingly also keeping on power in the vault, which is like their only source of power, period. Because if they go out, the world is in rubble. And about here is when the show in the background starts going off the rails, but you don't really notice it yet. Like in episode 5, there's an earthquake. Around episode 6, a guy says he's with the show and that the earthquake wasn't staged and he's not sure what's happening. He hasn't gotten a call in like a day. Around here, they start running out of power. But none of it, you're not sure if it's still related with the game show or if there's something else going on. Until around... And then episode 12 is where it goes really weird. Where it cuts from what seems to be a plausibly real game show that's starting to go slightly off the rail to all of a sudden, you're in a different fucking world. All of the characters are different. It just opens as if it's a regular episode. But all the cast are different.
Hey, Brian, you there?
Yeah.
Where we at?
We're in good shape. We're still over 300.
Awesome. Okay, I'm gonna keep doing my thing. The same pace as before should be fine.
Got it.
James?
Good morning, sir.
Morning.
How'd you sleep?
And the only way I can describe it is originally everyone was designed for their room, right? The woman who was in the fish room was very compassionate. The guy in the bike room was not in the best shape of his life. The person in the communication room was not the best communicator. And basically it taught everyone in the room something about themselves. Like there was one where there's a balloon that hadn't fallen yet, so it was still on the ceiling, which for most people, I'll just reach up and grab it. But the person they put in the room was in a wheelchair, so he couldn't just reach up and grab it. He had to like wait days for it to deflate.
Looks like there might be something written on it, but I can't tell from here.
Everyone's like designed for their room. And in episode 12 here, they do something very interesting where they just all of a sudden switch to what if they weren't? Because funnily, the fortunes don't work that way. That's what it is. There's two versions. You've, for the first 11 episodes, been watching what is called the blue team. And then in episode 12, it just shows you the red team, or the red vault, or whatever. And then the people in there, they weren't fit to their room. If almost it was the opposite. They were fit, you'll be good at this. Like the woman in the fish room is just, well, I'll only feed 8 of them, and the rest will starve. But these 8 will live, and it'll be fine. And it's almost like the fortune doesn't apply. So how do you even get out of the vault if you don't? Because you would read the fortune and it wouldn't make sense to you. There's a bit about that in this episode where they read out the compassion misguided thing, and they were confused by it because they were like, but you weren't compassionate. You killed 90-something of the fish.
Stay in the U.S. is probably...
This right here. Notice how because the fortunes make no sense, they have to reverse engineer the number because it's made of like this data of the state they're from, like a population number in a district. So this is what happens when, even though it seems harder because they put like the guy with the wheelchair in the balloon room and they put the woman with the big heart in the fish room and etc., etc., they put the egotistical asshole in the king room. That's the point. The point is without those traits, the rooms are meaningless. The whole point is for the room to reveal something about yourself. And this map is proof that when they don't have those traits, this fucking inverse of the blue vault, the red vault, they have to reverse engineer what the fortune's for based on actual like data, because they can't just go, oh, that's about... I found that so funny how they did that.
That narrows it down to 5 players.
What are the colors?
But yeah, this episode is basically just a different vault playing the game. And it shows you how the vault almost doesn't work if you don't have that fault in your character that allows the vault to sort of expose that flaw in you. You know what I mean? Like, the whole point of it is to expose a character trait in you. And when you don't have that trait that makes the room harder, you don't even know that that's what your room is for. It doesn't make sense. So they're trying to guess Henry's room number because it's the last one to get out of the vault. And she finally guesses it as 0. And then there's the last fortune sitting next to her in this room.
0. Room number accepted.
1, 12,
20, 21, 22.
33.
Code accepted.
So they get out of the vault just as the power is going out. And they do it. They get out, and all the doors unlock so they can leave. But everything just went down. So now you're just in the aftermath, where Henry's just next to an open door. And so Henry starts walking around the vault, and he sees all the different rooms that he heard people talk about throughout the thing. And then he runs into someone. The only other person left in the vault.
Who are you?
It's Alex.
Henry.
Oh!
Henry?
Yeah. Are you Alex?
Yeah. Hi.
Yeah, hi. All right. This episode is really interesting because they just start walking around the vault because they got out, but everything's off and the showrunners aren't there. They're all fucking dead because the world ended. Yeah, as they were in the show, actively beating the game, playing along, because they were in a vault, they happened to survive whatever it is that destroyed the world around them. And so everyone else skedaddled out of the vault as soon as the game ended and ran because they saw Apocalypse. And these two are just wandering around the vault. They run into each other, and they end up wandering around the vault, the two of them as a pair. And eventually you notice a few things are off. Like, I want to say, where's the door? They come across this.
The blue door.
And Henry notices something.
That's weird.
What?
I could have swore she said she opened the red door, not the blue door.
What was this room's fortune again?
You hear that? Henry's like, I could have sworn the woman in our vault opened the red door, but the blue door is open. Basically, they're in the red vault right now. They're in the wrong vault.
What?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And then you have episode 16, which is the last one of the season. And then it opens in the backyard of a showrunner's who's on the phone.
That you keep it close until the last minute.
That's the plan.
Blues win. Needs to feel organic. I mean, everybody loves an underdog. It'll position us perfectly for season 2.
That's a lot, I know. But after they finally get out, it cuts after Henry and Alex get out of the vault. They make their way out through the back door after hitting the button. It cuts at the start of the final episode to the producer of the show on the phone talking about how he's going to make the blue team win artificially, but they're going to make it look organic, whatever. Basically doing showrunner cheesy bullshit on the phone. Until all of a sudden, something interesting happens. Is we get a first-hand perspective of why the show went offline.
I don't think we'll need them. Henry's
right around
The beauty of live TV is that anything.
Here.
Jesus, how obvious do we have to be?
Well, we'll get our guy on the inside to drop a hint.
Remember that this is a great thing that you've got going here. Don't forget to enjoy it.
I'll enjoy it when it's done.
Ah, well, it'll all be over.
Hello?
Boom! Where'd he go?
Duncan? Come on. Can someone call IT? The landline's cutting out again. Yeah.
Are you watching this? So is he right?
Randall, we've been over this. There are some things I can't tell you. The last thing I need is you slipping and saying something wrong when they call.
You just said that there were numbers on the fortunes.
Okay, fine. Yes, he's right. But that's all you're getting. What does what mean?
Wouldn't be concerned.
Took them 2 days just to...
Guys, I don't think that was part of the...
The rest of the episode basically consists of Alex and Henry walking around the apocalypse, finding dead bodies and abandoned buildings and assuming that they are the only two left on Earth. But yeah, that's about it for the vault. Let me show you the last shot of the show right here.
There's only one place we haven't gone. It could be a way out of here, or it could lead to the others. Or it could be a dead end. Either way, I have to find out. The only problem is, I'm not sure I can come back. Don't worry. I'll be alright. I'll see you soon. Henry.
That's basically how the show ends. Is Henry, after he and Alex get out, he makes sure Alex is safe, and then he goes back looking for the others, everyone else who is in the vault, because he assumes the people in the vault are the only ones that survived, at least locally. So he's going back looking for the other people in the vault, and he leaves a note for Alex saying that he might not be able to return. And that's how the show ends. That's about it for... yeah, that's about it for the vault. My conclusion, I wanted to talk about it because I loved that show when I watched it. It was great. I loved every minute of it. It was very entertaining. There was a lot to it that I barely touched the tip of the iceberg today, and I've been talking about it for almost an hour. So I highly recommend you guys go watch it yourself if you haven't. It's a great show. But yeah, very deep, very profound. There's a lot to it. It's very entertaining, and I liked what they did there. But yeah, I just thought I'd share that. If you enjoyed this, thank you. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe. And that's going to be it for me today, boys.
Like, was she always this fine? 'Cause I know we got